I'm Robert Griffin, the Executive Minister here at the Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I want to thank you for joining us for worship via the internet today. And if you are ever in the Fort Lauderdale area, let me personally invite you to stop by and worship with us on Sunday mornings at 9 and 10:30 a.m. We also invite you to join us on our Facebook group or follow us on Twitter. But for this moment, let's go inside and see what exciting worship opportunity lay in store for us.
May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to one another. Amen.
From the wisdom of Voltaire. All is a miracle. The stupendous order of nature, the revolution of 100 million worlds around 1 million stars, the activity of light, the life of all animals, all are grand and perpetual miracles. In these human words, God's voice is heard.
Our second reading is from the Wisdom of Louise Hay. The universe totally supports every thought that you choose to think and to believe. You have unlimited choices about what to think. Choose balance, harmony, and peace, and express it in your life. In these human words, God's voice is heard.
Our third reading is from the Gospel according to John. Jesus went to Jerusalem for a religious festival. Near the sheep gate in Jerusalem, there is a pool with 5 porches. It is called Bethesda. A large crowd of sick people were lying on the porches, the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed. A man was there who had been sick for 38 years. Jesus saw him laying there, and he knew that the man had been sick for such a long time. So he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The sick man answered, "Sir, I don't have anyone here but to put me in the pool. When the water is stirred up, while I am trying to get in, somebody else gets there first." Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." Immediately, the man got well. He picked up his mat and started walking. The day this happened was a Sabbath. In these human words, God's voice is heard.
Well, my great Aunt Gladys was reading the paper one morning, the Swamp Gazette, and she was from Louisiana, and so she was reading the paper when my great Uncle Arthur walked in, panicked. I mean, he just looked so scared. And he said, Gladys, I have this terrible problem. Lately, I have had this terrible and very embarrassing problem of silently passing gas all the time. In fact, just since I have been telling you this story, I have silently passed gas 4 times. What do you think I should do? She said, get your hearing checked. It's my family, all class, all the time. I don't remember my great-uncle Arthur's malady really getting much better, but our gospel lesson today is a healing story. And I resonate so deeply with healing stories because I have depended on healing energy so many times. And what I have learned as I've gone along is that what needs to be healed most often is how I view things, how I react to things, how I choose to define things. The conditions, they're always changing. Sometimes they're very much to my liking and sometimes not. But we can navigate conditions. We live in a world and a time where medical science is amazing. There's physical therapy and occupational therapy and pain-killing medications, and there's so many ways to deal with physical maladies. And yet some people are able to experience joy and peace in spite of them, and others, the conditions bring them down. And so it's that attitude, that feeling, that mental experience that most often seems to need to be healed in my experience, in my life. Today's gospel lesson reminds me of another Bible story of a Syrian general, Naaman, from Aram, Damascus, who had a condition. He had developed a condition, a physical problem. Now, he is a person of power and privilege. He has a title. He has a position. But none of that defends people from what happens in life. And so he gets a skin condition. And he seeks the aid of a very unlikely person for him. And this happens a lot in the Bible. It happens a lot in the Gospels, where someone goes to the other, the person who's sort of beneath you, the person that your army has conquered or whatever, for help. Because in the spiritual realm, in that level where we energetically are all connected, there is no hierarchy. The first is last, the last is first. We are all one. God is all in all. And so these stories where the high and the mighty come to the supposedly lowly for help, that's a common theme in Scripture. And so General Naaman goes to a healer, a prophet, a disciple of the prophet Elijah. He goes to Elisha. And so he seeks help from this healer. And Elisha doesn't really even engage him. He doesn't really even go out to speak with him in person. He just sends word with a prescription. He just sends a messenger with a prescription. Do this, and you might get better. And the man was so offended. Not only did Elisha not come to him personally, didn't even greet him personally, but then the prescription wasn't to his liking. The prescription said, go bathe in a muddy river. And he was so offended. His dignity was offended. His honor was offended. His position was offended. And he almost stomped away angry without his healing. That would have shown everyone, huh? But he got some good advice. Someone said to him, what have you got to lose? Did you come here for this guy to bow and scrape and kiss your ring? Or did you come to get better? And did he give you a prescription that might work? If it doesn't work, you're no worse off. But it absolutely won't work if you don't try it. And so he gets over himself. He decides that he is ready to try something new. Nothing else has worked. And he bathes in this muddy river. And he is surrounded by all the muck and the mud of this muddy river, but he emerges renewed. And that's a wonderful metaphor of when we feel like we are drowning, we are surrounded by all the negativity, by all the fear, by all of the despair, by all of the things that seem to be wrong. We can still, by adjusting our attitudes, emerge from that renewed. And I bet the writer of the story we heard in the fourth gospel today, well, I'm certain he knew this story and may have had it in mind as he was imagining this story, this healing story of someone wanting to be immersed in a healing pool. And so there is this spring, this magic spring in Jerusalem, supposedly, that every once in a while it will bubble up. And if you can just get to it in time, you may be healed. And the story says Jesus goes to Jerusalem for his own business, his own sort of pilgrimage, goes to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem means peace. So the story starts out by showing us that the key to healing, which sometimes includes physical cure, sometimes doesn't, but the key to feeling whole, the key to having joy no matter what is happening, the key to having peace no matter what is happening, the key to knowing that circumstances cannot rob us of our dignity, the key to that is to go to peace instead of to pieces. And so we see Jesus going to Jerusalem, going to peace instead of to pieces. And he goes to this medicinal spring, this therapeutic spring, this magic spring. Magic and medicine and miracle were all pretty much the same thing in antiquity. And so here is this medicinal spring called Bethesda, which means mercy or compassion or healing. And so here is this pool of healing possibilities that you reach once you go to peace instead of to pieces. And you know where it is? It's by the sheep gate. Now, sheep in ancient literature represent innocence, and gates open and close. And so the sheep gate symbolically is when we open our minds to rediscover our innocence, our innate goodness, our sacred value. When we go to peace instead of to pieces, we can open our minds and expand our consciousness to understand our innate dignity, our innocence, our sacred value. And that's when we experience Bethesda, healing, mercy, compassion. So the story is set up for what we can expect and for what is possible. And that's why all these people are there. They're ready to stick their toe in the magic water and see if it'll heal their athlete's foot. They're ready. But here's this other guy, this one guy. And Jesus notices him, and Jesus learns that he's been there for 38 years. I guess he orders out to have his food brought in, because he's been there for 38 years. A long, long time. Now, if I go to the magic spring and it doesn't work, I'm probably going to go to another one. Might try the magic candle, might try the magic incense, might try the magic doctor. I might try something else. He just sits there day after day, month after month, year after year, doing the same thing, the same way, getting the same disappointment. This man is committed to failure. But better to be bitter about what's not going on, he reasons, than to move beyond it, because we are so afraid of the unknown. I know sitting here day after day isn't going to change anything, but it's what I'm used to. So I'm not going to push past this to see if anything else might work better. I'm just going to sit here and complain, because that's fun. And so Jesus asks him, do you want to get well? And he doesn't give him a straight answer. When you don't get a straight answer, you got your answer, right? Do you want to get better? Are you ready to experience something different? Are you ready to do something different that would lead to a different experience? Are you ready? Jesus is asking him. And he says, you know what? No one will put me in the magic water. I didn't ask you about these people, so they're rude, so they're mean. I'm asking about you. What do you want? Are you ready to do something different? Have you asked anyone to put you in the water? When they set you here so far away from the water, did you say, this is not good, could you get me closer so I can roll over when it bubbles up? Have you complained to the management that I mean, what have you done? Have you taken any responsibility? Are you ready for something to be different? Are you ready to give something else a try to see if it could get better? Well, nobody will do it for me. Don't we want someone to do it for us, to give it to us? Sometimes a parent, sometimes an organization, sometimes some mystical cosmic figure. Just come fix it. Instead of summoning the courage to work out our own wholeness with fear and trembling. And so Jesus, and I imagine with a twinge of agitation, responds to his scarcity mentality. There's not enough. There's only enough magic for the first person who jumps in. And I can never be the first person. Poor, poor me. And he wants Jesus to commiserate with him and pat him on the head, maybe give him some words of encouragement and leave. And instead, Jesus says, "Get up!" People have been listening to this for 38 years. I've only been listening for 38 seconds, and I'm sick of it. Get up! Get up! Do something different. Now, this is an allegory. He isn't being mean to someone who has a physical limitation. No. This is all an allegory for attitudes. He's saying, stop wallowing on this mat of self-pity. Stop wallowing on this mat of despair. Stop wallowing on this mat of fear. Stop wallowing on this mat of regret. Stop wallowing on this mat of self-entitlement. Stop wallowing on this mat of excuses and try something else. Maybe it won't work, but you'll be no worse off and you'll feel better for having tried. Get up, rise above, get over yourself, is what Jesus is saying. Get over yourself. And he rose to a new level of thinking, to a new experience of life, to a new attitude about himself. He picked up his mat and walked. Again, this is not to insult people who have physical problems or medical conditions. I am on speed dial for the chiropractor. There are some days that standing up straight or walking any great distance, it's a real challenge for me. But even on those days, I can get over myself. I can get to the chiropractor, or I can take the muscle relaxer, or I can say thank God for the heating pad. I can rise to a new experience, even in the midst of the condition. I can go to peace instead of to pieces. I can know, even despite the conditions, I am whole, I am perfect, I am God's miracle and not God's mistake. That's Jesus' message to the man on the mat. Get over yourself, believe in yourself, stop feeding the narrative that tells you how bad it is, and start telling yourself all the blessings you have, even in spite of the challenges. Yes, this is a problem, but think of all the good things there are as well. And so rise to a new level of thinking, a new level of consciousness. Some of us were told we were sinners. We were told we were born into natural depravity. We were told that we were part of a fallen humanity, part of a broken world, and we bought it. And we've lived it. We were told we were broken and damaged, and we have fulfilled the prophecy. But what if we hear Jesus saying, snap out of it, get over yourself. Yes, you've made mistakes, but you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. You make mistakes, but you're not one. Yes, there are things you wish you could have done differently. Do them differently now. Yes, things have been unfair, but this is a new moment. You are not fallen from God. God is omnipresent. You can't fall from God. There's not a spot where God is not. You are part and parcel of omnipresent goodness. Focus on that. Rise above the fear, rise above the regret, and know that you are God's miracle and not God's mistake. Go to peace instead of to pieces. Visit the sheep gate, where the gate opens up and you experience your innocence for the first time in a long time. Know that Bethesda isn't a magic pool that bubbles up once in a great while. It is a well of indomitable hope that God has put in each of us, and we can draw from it any day, any time, including right now. And this is the good news. Amen.
Thank you for joining us today here at the Sunshine Cathedral. If you're ever in the Fort Lauderdale area, we invite you to stop by and worship with us on Sunday mornings at 9 and 10:30 a.m. If you'd like to make a donation to the Sunshine Cathedral, or if you'd like to find out other resources that the Cathedral has to offer, please visit us at www.sunshinecathedral.org. Until the next time, we look forward to seeing you here at the Sunshine Cathedral.